My name is Nick Borelli, and I am a conference ambassador for Catersource, and I have the pleasure to introduce a panel of experts on social media, a thing that I would imagine most of you are doing, right? And for those of you who aren't, you're in the right place. There's so much you can do with social media to move your business because unlike marketing for, let's say, the previous maybe about 100, 200 years before that, wooden billboards and paint were pretty inexpensive. But there was a pretty big barrier to small businesses to be able to market your business. I did quite a bit, and I still do, print ad design and television, radio, and those are great mediums, but you have to have some capital. In social media, the only capital you have to have is education. Money helps, and it'll get you further. I'm sure they might, if you ask them questions about that, they can help you. But this type of information is absolutely vital for your business because the combination of the opportunities being inexpensive to free and niche industry information like this will be able to help you excel yourself past your competitors who are not here. So this is exciting, and it was worth waking up for. And I have the opportunity to see some professionals who are within your industry as well, including Bryce. This is the first time for you in an international setting speaking, which is amazing. And Charles back there, I used to work at Executive Caterers in Cleveland, Ohio. And who here yesterday saw Harlan Diamond win the Lifetime Achievement? Pretty cool, right? That's their company. So Bryce works for them, has a similar job title as I did when I was there, and it's pretty cool to be, someone that's spoke here a lot of times and see that this company is still finding talent at a level that is international and also is committed to giving back. So that's really cool. And then I don't know everyone, but I know Liese because I've followed her before I even knew what social media was. Everyone here is a curated expert, and it's my pleasure to let them talk and for me to bow out. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Scott Frankel. I'm the president of Animatic Media. I am very pleased to be here. This is, I think, the fourth year I've been speaking at this conference. So we all know social media is big, and it's integrated into pretty much every aspect. It started out as social media, right? But we all know it's for business. It's found its way into politics. It's found its way into pretty much every aspect of our lives, including entertainment. And any chance I get to show this little clip, I like to, and it's appropriate here.
Hey, check it out. I brought you some cookies. Hashtag homemade, hashtag oatmeal raisin, hashtag show me the cookie.
Sweet. Hashtag don't mind if I don't. Pretty good. Hashtag getting my cookie on. Hashtag I'm the real cookie monster. Hashtag no. By the way, did you catch last week's episode of Duck Dynasty? Hashtag quack quack.
Nah, lately I've mostly been watching Netflix. Hashtag Orange is the New Black.
Oh, nice. I've been watching a lot of Barney the Dinosaur. Hashtag I'm 38. Hashtag dinosaurs. Hashtag Ice Age. Hashtag Ray Romano. Hashtag Deborah.
So, like I said, I just love that clip. It's a little selfish of me to show it, but it shows it's integrated into every aspect of our lives. So in today's session, what we're going to do here is we're going to talk a little bit about overview of social media quickly. I'm going to run through for just about 15 minutes. We're going to give you a quick roadmap of how to implement the social media campaign, and that could probably be a 3-day session right there, but we're going to just give you some overview stuff. But then the bulk of the session is I'm going to bring up the panel of our 3 experts. We want this to be as interactive as a session as it can be. I will encourage you to ask questions throughout as soon as we bring up the panel. There are no bad questions. As social media is evolving, it's changing, it's going to continue to change. And I suspect we've got a different level of expertise in the room. And the other thing that we'll talk about is with social media, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel because it is evolving and changing, and it's different for different markets. Rather than sit there studying the roots, what I'm going to suggest is you go out there and pick the fruit. and you see what's been successful for other people, and you could start doing that today if you just implement some things quickly. But what I do want to do is I do want to see where we are in the room in terms of people using social media. So I broke it down into social what, scratching the surface, consider myself average, or I could post with the best of them. So with a show of hands, if you could show me social what, who are our social what that just getting started? Okay, we were all just getting started at one point. What about scratching the surface? Okay, consider myself average. And who's posting with the best of them? Okay, very good. So we have a nice mix here. So I think you're really going to enjoy the panel. But to get into it, I almost didn't do a slide on how big social media is. I think we all kind of know. But when you look at some statistics, it is amazing. You will see things like 79% of adults are on Facebook. That's just 79% of anything is amazing. And if you think about as big as Facebook is, with Twitter, you know, people will engage Twitter 24% longer. And I think the reason for that you'll find is that although Facebook is great for telling longer stories, Twitter is just more immediacy with the brevity. So people tend to stay on and go to the next one and the next one. And I talked about where it's evolving into every aspect of our lives. You know, the NFL, for the first time, the ratings this fall were down. And the interesting thing, on Thursday Night Football, Twitter broadcast Thursday Night Football and showed a 28% increase. So it just shows you that people really want to embrace or are embracing the technology. And as far as the presidential debate, the first presidential debate last year, 55 million people tuned in on Facebook Live to see that. So it's really just amazing, staggering numbers. And when it comes to business, and your business specifically, it's a space you need to be in. 95% of online adults are likely to follow a brand in social media. So think about what that means. If you engage a brand, a company, and you like them, 95% are willing to follow them, like them, and see what they have to say on an ongoing basis. And again, there's over 1.6 billion social media accounts, and that's growing leaps and bounds every day. Part of the reason is, you know, it's visually appealing. Aside from the obvious, to get information and then to engage it, you know, people learn a high percentage of what they learn and retain is based on visual elements that they see. So social media is obviously right in line for that. So how do you do it? So the steps to success, you're going to want to create goals. You want to know your audience, obviously. You need to evaluate. There's a lot of platforms out there, and there's more coming out every day. You want to carefully arrange your content, and we do have, when I bring up the panel, you're going to hear from the people who are doing it right as well. Obviously, you need to post it and develop it on your web pages as well. And you're going to have to maintain your profiles, which I find is a mistake a lot of people make. So getting into the goals, when you are posting, you want to make sure that your content is relevant. And you want to focus on your customer and your clients and what they want to see. It's not just about advertising and promoting your company. You have to really understand what is it that they want to see, because that's what's going to make them want to come back to you over and over again. You know, social media is about sharing, right? It's about sharing, liking, commenting. It's not just about advertising, but it's obviously a very, very powerful way to get that done. And it's proven that education-based marketing is going to be more effective than a sales pitch. So if you're out there adding value in your social media, aside from just promoting your company, you're going to be able to grow a loyal fan base. Now, we talked about, I set up briefly talking about knowing your audience. You'll see in different industries that certain social media platforms work better, but you should look around and take notice. Look at your competitors and see where they're putting their social media efforts in. Look at your client markets and see where they're looking as well. You have to have know what you want to do. If you want to be telling stories about your company or about a tip or a trick, obviously Facebook is where you're going to go if you want to tell some longer stories that need more. But Instagram is great, Twitter as well, and you'll see there might be a little debate within the panel on which way to go, but you're going to hear the different takes on that. But it's all good. That's one thing we all agree on. The social media, it has to be done. Instagram for this business, in my opinion, for the caterer. How many caterers are in the room right now? Okay. So you're in a business where you make food look great. You make food smell great and taste great. So you've got the ability through your photos to really make that come through. So, for you, I think Instagram is definitely a must as well because it'll help organize things. And even on LinkedIn, have a LinkedIn presence because, there could be business opportunities even between your vendors and your suppliers and especially if you're doing any sort of corporate events. As I mentioned earlier, you want to research and take notice of things around you. When I first started doing social media, I was very secretive. I didn't want to let people know what I was doing or how I was doing it. I didn't want people to target my customers, and that's nonsense. You learn quickly. It's out there. If your competition wants to know what you're doing and how you do it, they're going to find out. But you need to have that. It's more important to have that social media presence. I'm not saying to give away the secret sauce. In your case, that might be literal. But I am saying that don't be afraid to share some tips and tricks and add value and make people want to come back and follow you. Plan your content. There's different types of content, and I'll touch on that really quickly. But you want to switch up your posts. Now, some things will come organically, but I do believe strongly in contrived messages. My problem is I'm on the road probably 200 days a year. And between running a business and being on the road and producing events, I have, like all of us, very little time. But what I'll do is I'll plan ahead for certain types of posts, and I could actually plan months ahead. If I know I'm going to be posting about an event that I'm producing, I could talk about initially that we were awarded the project, that we're working on the project, that we're on site setting up on the project, and that we just finished the project and hopefully it was, we hit it out of the park. So I'll sit there in some of my downtime, and I'll also think of what value can I add in terms of the education, tips and tricks. And I'll sit there and I will do this all ahead of time. So one day you might want to teach about something new, a tip or a trick or something that you found out that's good for your industry, that people would want to know, whether it's customers or colleagues. And then, maybe you do something on decor or wine pairings. Just try and mix it up, and that's going to be of interest to people. I keep track of my posts in a schedule, and there's actually third-party software that I'll mention in a second that you can use that will help you organize and schedule your posts. I find that very helpful as well. But by keeping it in a schedule, you'll keep track of the type of things that you're posting. Now, when you want to post, and you'll find a difference in opinion, on when you want to post, but it depends on who your audience is. A lot of that has to do with who your audience is. And just as a very simple example, if your audience are 9-to-5ers, you're not really going to want to post during 9 to 5 because they're at work, obviously. You'll find either earlier in the morning, maybe when they're having their coffee, or between 6 and 9 at night after they're home and they've decompressed a little bit. Obviously, there's certain things with, Mondays and Fridays. But you want to know who your audience is and when they're on their social media. And some of the software I mentioned, Hootsuite is one of them, and the other one is Buffer. These are the software, and I have no affiliation, and they're all pretty inexpensive, and there's probably 1,000 different ones out there. But these are the software products that help you manage your social media. As a matter of fact, you can link all of your accounts together, and you can make one post, and you could choose which of the posts it's going to go to. So you might choose to do different types of posts on different social media accounts because, everyone should have multiple social media accounts. You have all these different platforms to choose from. Profiles. I think this is one of the number one mistakes I think people make is because when they first get on social media, and we were all there, right? We want to do a post. We want to tweet for the first time and do a Facebook post. So what do? You log on, you sign up, right? And your very first goal is to get that post out there and start following people and get that first follower. So you kind of blow by the profile. You do the bare minimum on that. And then what I find happens for a lot of people is they don't come back to it. They may not come back to it for 2 years, year and a half. You have to keep the profiles maintained. Because for anybody who starts following you and reading, that's their first impression of you. So you have to continually update that and make sure it's saying what you want it to say. The 80-20 rule, all right? Social media, again, is supposed to be about sharing. So 80% of your posts, and we could hear from the panel in a minute on whether they agree or disagree with this, but my belief is 80% of your social media should be commenting, liking, sharing, retweeting. Only 20% should probably be posting if you think about it, because it should be, it's shared social media. If you're always out there, if you reverse that and 80% are all posting and you're not contributing to other people's posts, I don't know how successful you'll be. And then if you're a caterer, one way to increase traffic to your page is going to be, and this would be for any business actually, is to go to follow and like some non-competitive complementary other services. So maybe it's a food website or recipes or Tasty or something like that. Make sure you're following those people as well, because they're going to come back and follow you as well, and you'll find that will increase your presence as well. There are different types of posts. I break it down into interactive posts and non-interactive. So, the interactives, you could have forums, you could put questions out there and have people respond, you could run contests, and then the non-interactive are your more traditional posts, updates, what's new and cool, updates on the company, tips and tricks. And then finally, brand awareness. So you get the word out there. So you've done your social media. You need to now include your links and your hashtags in everything you do. You need to include it in your business cards, on your letterhead if people are still printing letterhead. You need to put it in your email signatures, because you don't want to go 95 yards down the field and not punch it in. Last year I did a session, I did the technology breakfast, and we did some case studies on catering companies on their websites and their social media presence. And some of them were very successful catering businesses, and they had good social media presence, but they didn't necessarily, you couldn't even find any social media icons on their website. So you want to make sure that the website is promoting the social media and the social media is linking back to the website. You want to make sure that happens all the time. It's got to be a complete, 360-degree circle. So that was my overview. I am now going to bring up our panel, and we're going to get into some questions. And again, I am going to please encourage you to ask questions. So our panel, if you guys could make your way up. We have Liese Gardner. Liese is the owner of Liese Gardner Communications. Liese has been involved with Catersource for a very long time. She's on their advisory board. She is a marketing and social media expert. I think she knows everybody in this conference from what I can see. I was fortunate enough, Liese actually introduced me the first time I spoke here. She actually had her session yesterday. It was a great session. I don't know, anybody catch her session yesterday? Okay, great. We also have Megan Gillikin. She is the owner of a Southern Soiree based in Raleigh, North Carolina. I believe it's her first time here at Catersource. She had a session yesterday on how to attract millennials, the millennial client. Anybody catch that one? Okay, that's tricky to do because they were both speaking at the same time, so it was a pretty good mix. So she's here to add her insight. And then Bryce Humbarger. Bryce is the director of marketing at Executive Caterers in Cleveland, Ohio. And the interesting thing is Bryce is a product on this panel of something that happened very organically, because when they asked me to put this panel together, I went ahead and I just did some research on catering companies nationwide that were doing great job of social media. And I just happened to find Executive, and they led me to Bryce, who's only been with the company about a year, just so you know his story. He's only been there a year, and he's probably has increased their social media presence probably over 10%, 20%. Something like that.
Twitter alone went from 150 when I started to about 2,000. Instagram, something similar.
So awesome. So you have some great people up here with some great insight. I'm just going to start us off, and I'll start with a question for you, Liese. How would you encourage people? Because we all agree that the key here is to drive people back to their websites. So how do you encourage people to do that?
So one thing I am very big on is content marketing, because you need to start always with, everything starts with content. So when you're planning out your social media campaign, think about what you are blogging about and also kind of what's coming up for you in terms of events, and then what you've got photos of. So if you start with a blog on your website and you've just done a beautiful wedding, and you put up those photos on your blog, then you start to take those photos and you start to, I guess filter them across your social media. So if you wanted to start with Facebook, you might do 3 photos or an album or something of the wedding, because doing 5 photos of one wedding on Facebook is going to look odd, but it doesn't look odd on Instagram. You could do 1 photo a day from that wedding on Instagram, leading them back to the wedding by putting the link in the bio. And so people, and that's probably already too complicated to explain, but you know what he's saying about your profile is your profile can change a lot. So if you've got somewhere you want to drive that traffic to, you've got to drive the traffic then back to your blog, and you just tell them, the link to this story is in our bio, and you just put that link in the bio of what your URL is for that blog. So I'm all about just not having any kind of content out there just free floating, although every once in a while that's fine if you're doing it right from a site, or from your chef is in the kitchen and he's doing something, to have it tethered back to your website and vice versa, what he's saying for the circle, to complete the circle. I could go on about that for days, but I will not.
Yeah, we do something similar to that. So when we have a new blog post coming up, we'll do like a preview image on Instagram where we'll post something from, let's say, the wedding, and it will say, coming next week, check out our latest blog post. And then when we do have that blog post, like Liese said, you go in and you just update it and you say, latest blog post here on your profile.
Right.
And then we share it across Facebook. And I think ways organically to grow your following on all of these social media platforms that I mentioned yesterday on my panel is tagging all of the vendors that you worked with. So on Facebook and on Instagram, when we post something, or on Twitter, we tag credit in the content of the post. So catering by X company, photographer, credit all of them there, and then also tag them in the actual photo on Instagram too. It's kind of great vendor etiquette for giving them credit for the work that they've done, but then it also draws more people back to you.
And tagging photographers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And when you tag the photo, it will show up on that person's photos of you page on your Instagram, which, of course, Facebook, of course, they'll see it. But on Instagram, everyone forgets that photos of you page, which is, I think, the 3rd icon over on your thumbnail portion. If you watch that, you'll see what people are talking about you and commenting about you and tagging you, and you can really create a community of vendors that way in your city.
And when you do that on Facebook and Twitter, I mean, really the whole idea is hopefully they can retweet it and share it to their people as well. I mean, it's just a great idea just to reach some more people.
Hey, Bryce, would you say that the catering business, just works well with social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, talking to Liese earlier, she mentioned that caterers are kind of the last of the party with social media, and it's really a shame because, I mean, just food and recipes in general, they're so popular online. I mean, you'll see that with the tasty videos and everything else. I mean, Facebook is like, recipe book to a lot of people. I mean, females in particular, I think, they're always looking for inspiration, for new ideas. Start a recipe of the month campaign, start a, behind the scenes, look, check out our chef over the grill, stuff like that. I mean, people just love this exciting stuff. I mean, obviously you're making great food and all that, but I think also, you have to keep in mind when posting just, to people who are maybe new to it or maybe aren't as comfortable is, you have to do it in a clever way to humanize your message. I think it's so easy when you start off to just say, hey, this is a great entree I made, come visit my website, call me or whatever. But people don't go to Facebook to get sold to. I mean, people have a great filter for BS nowadays. Just social media in general, there's just so much content, especially Facebook, that people kind of rifle through the sales pitches quickly. And if you, figure out a way to make your post useful, entertaining, funny, informative to your client, that's just going to go so much farther. People are going to want to like you. They're going to want to follow you when you do stuff like that.
Can I say one thing about Facebook, which I forgot to say in my seminar yesterday? I think the way to go on Facebook now is, and I don't know if anyone is doing this, is the groups. You need to, if you can create a group for yourself, if you're a business, you can create these groups that then they're like direct audience for you. So you create say your name of your company is Tasty Catering. You create the Tasty Catering group and you invite people to it, and then you give them content that's just for them, and then you give them the recipes and things like that, and you also then can promote that across your other channels and go, we've got a Facebook group, just for you. They get recipes, they get special insight, blah, 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 and join our group. So I know that I went to a couple of social media things, and I know I belong to the Event Profs group. And maybe everyone does anyone belong to a group on Facebook? Has anyone invited you on? Yeah, so there's a few. So create your own group, bottom line.
Yeah, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be if you had your Facebook for your business?
Business, yes.
So why would you need a group if you had people following that then?
Oh, because then, well, first of all, people are not seeing your post on Facebook unless you're paying for it. So Facebook has become a much more pay for play, so about 2 of 5 of your posts are actually being seen by your audience that you want. So what's happening is, Facebook, that with how they're trying to generate money for themselves, is to ask you to post to pay for your post to be boosted. So your audience is only a small amount, and I don't have the numbers on this, but only a small amount of your people see it. So if you have a group, more people are going to see that. They will now get your information a lot more directly, and I think it's a better way to use Facebook right now with how Facebook is
So you create the group within your business.
and then you invite your people to it. You can invite all of your people. You just go invite, and other people can invite people to it as well.
Okay, can I have one more question real quick?
No. Yes.
Yeah, next. No.
I love that you asked, though. That's
Websites versus Facebook and then social media. I'm feeling very strong, where is website? What is the purpose of it anymore?
Yeah, I agree. I'm hearing that more and more, that years from now, websites are going to be more phased out and people are going to be relying more on social media. I do feel like people are still going to your website, but I feel like it's almost secondary to them viewing you on social media first. One of the things I talked about yesterday, as well as having a mobile-friendly website, I feel is huge. That's like your number one largest mistake that you're making if you don't have a mobile-friendly website. So I feel like you need to work, on having that mobile-friendly site, but then also making sure, like Scott mentioned, that you're spreading your message across social media as well and figuring out where is your client, where are they going first? Are they going to Facebook first? Are they going to Twitter? Are they going to all of them? In that case, you really have to be active on all of them. So website is still used, but I think that will be something as we continue to go on that will eventually be less and less important.
What is the mobile-friendly website?
Yep, so you hear it as mobile friendly or responsive. It means that when I pull your website up on any sort of mobile device, iPad, iPhone, how do you describe it?
The layout of it is
It's not your
different than a
traditional
desktop. When you have a laptop or a desktop, I mean, it's primarily horizontal landscape.
Yeah.
Now, when you're a mobile site, there's really no scrolling left or right.
So if I'm
really
trying to look at your site,
utilize just so you can scroll down just by the flick of your thumb.
Yeah, and a lot of times, depending on the business and the site, they'll limit some features on the mobile. You'll ever see the option to view, main website as opposed to the mobile one that your phone will go to automatically. These days, any web developer worth their salt is going to make you a responsive site. It's really going to be for some legacy websites that are out there that need to be adapted. So anything that's being made new, you may want to just ask the question to make sure it's responsive. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think websites are really going to go away. I think it is all melding together. But we talk about a lot of different formats, but because we do have a variety of social media expertise in the room, in the audience, let's just go through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then there's some other options as well, obviously. Let's start at the end with Bryce. I mean, where should they be? I mean, they should probably be everywhere, but good and bad.
I'd just say, first, know your audience. Ideally, I think from our perspective, obviously it'd be great to be on every site doing great everywhere, but that's not realistic to a lot of you. Obviously we have some people here who run the social media, but I'm sure you have other responsibilities. You're the marketing director, you're the event planner, manager, whatever. I mean, ideally we'd love you posting twice a day on Facebook, on Instagram, 5 tweets a day, but obviously that's not realistic now. I'd say just for a game plan to start off with, I'd say everyone has to have a Facebook now. I mean, there's like 2 billion people on it. 1 billion people use it daily. It's just, somewhere you have to be. I'd say at least post probably 3 times a day, or 3 times a week, at least, up to 14 times a week. I mean, you don't want to get too crazy with it, but I'd say absolutely Facebook. I'd say absolutely Instagram next. Just because, with those, you can post about once a day and get away with it. Now, Twitter, I love Twitter. I probably tweet 2 to 7 times a day. But I think if you have a Twitter and you're only posting, if you're only tweeting like once a week, a couple times a month, I mean, that just kind of looks bad. I mean, if you look at it from the audience's perspective, when you go to a website and it's only desktop friendly, it's not mobile friendly, you kind of seem outdated. I mean, you could have great photos on your website, but if it's a desktop site on your phone, it's just kind of like, ew, like these guys are really outdated. I mean, what is this, 2012, Same with Twitter. I mean, when you go to someone's Twitter and the last time they tweeted was like 8 months ago, I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, it just kind of looks bad. I mean, if you're not tweeting at least a few times a week, I mean, I might even recommend just not even having one.
Hey, Megan, do you agree?
I agree and disagree. I would reverse and say Instagram is where you need to be. Instagram is everything for us right now. I feel like Facebook has died off a little bit, mainly because my client is not searching for me first on Facebook. They're searching for me first on Instagram. And we're starting to get leads to our website we have a little how did you find us, and they're putting Instagram. I think that's based off of the age of the clients, both social and corporate. So I talked about this yesterday as well. Your potential clients right now are within companies. They're your marketing assistants, they're your HR coordinators, they're your executive assistants. They're the people that their boss has tasked them to research companies for events, and that's where they're looking first is Instagram, followed by Facebook. Still very important. We use Facebook a lot, but Instagram is our number one go-to. And then Twitter, I don't love Twitter. I don't think that my client is looking for me on Twitter. We do have a presence on there, so we have it linked to our Facebook and our Instagram. So if I post something from there, it will just automatically post to Twitter, but I can't tell you the last time I actually looked at my Twitter. I don't feel like it's significant in the search, but I do think I have to have a presence on there. So I fall into that, like maybe post 3 times a week possibly on Twitter. I don't just have the content for Twitter.
Right.
And then I rule out, we don't really do anything on YouTube. Yeah, I don't do anything on Snapchat. We don't do anything on YouTube. I see that possibly as a missed opportunity within my company, but anyway.
Lisa, what do you think?
I'll say Instagram first because it is photo driven and it's actually, and I said this yesterday, it's not political. You're getting into Facebook stuff and you're seeing things in your feed that are so political now, and then you're putting up a little picture of flowers. You're like, oh God, this doesn't look right. So I feel that Instagram being so photo driven really helps for caterers, and I also think it has a couple new features that you're going to love. I think Instagram Stories is amazing. It's you go in, you're in the Instagram app, and you can do a video that's 30 seconds, and you can do a bunch of them going across. They disappear in 24 hours, just like Snapchat does. But it's a great way to show chef making lunch, and we're setting up. These are the photos that are not pretty, but they are your day-to-day stuff, and they show your people the behind the scenes, and they create a bond with that person. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a way to, like on Facebook, you have pages manager, so I don't have to consistently log out of my personal Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Do that on Instagram? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you can have a personal, and then you can have your business as well.
Instagram allows you to manage 5 Instagram accounts right now. So you just go to your settings and you add an account. Okay. So this is at the very bottom of settings.
You can also switch your account to a business account, so that you can see like insights of when you're posting and what your content is doing out there.
Okay, so that's where we'll disagree on this, because I think that the business, if you switch over to a business account, I think Instagram's owned by Facebook, and I think that Instagram eventually, and I've talked to a lot of social media people about this, will start charging you again to get higher up in the feed. And I would suggest, and I have never gone to a business account on Facebook. Of course, all my clients are. But personally, I haven't, and I can't get my insights, but I can get them other ways. I can do shortened URLs, and I can do things like that where I can track like who's clicking on my stuff, and how many clicks am I getting from Facebook. I still get a lot more clicks on Facebook for content than I do on Instagram, though.
Really?
I will say. So yeah, if you follow the Bitleys or the Owlies, and they'll track it for you of how many hits you're getting on that shortened URL. But I was just going to say one more thing about the Instagram stories, is every time that I post an Instagram story, the people can see that it's up there because of the pretty little color that happens up there around your profile picture. And I always get like five followers. I mean, I could post a cup of coffee on Instagram stories, and people will be like, oh my gosh.
Can't miss out on that next time. Yeah, can't miss out on that next time. Gonna see what kind of latte she's getting tomorrow.
But then there's also Instagram Swipe. Are you using that? Oh my God. So Instagram Swipe now allows you to, like when you've got your photo albums down here, and you can go over here to the right of it, and you can go to the multiple picture. And so I did it yesterday with the Cosmopolitan because I did a reveal of a gorgeous guy with tropical flowers
Zac
all
Efron.
over him.
Zac Efron.
Huh?
Zac Efron. Just so you know.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone knows who Zac Efron is.
Oh my God, it's so terrible. I'm like, oh, I don't know who he is, but he's cute. I don't watch a lot. So
HR to this room, please. HR to this room.
I know, right? We're so off message right now. But anyway, Cosmopolitan did it, and it's very cute because it shows a reveal. You could show a product demo, food demo, anything like that. You just hit a couple of different photos, and then it swipes it through, and again, it will show up in the top.
So you could do that for a blog as well. Like you could have.
You could have all your photos again, so like a Facebook album instead of posting once a day.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go. Please.
Is there a way, or do y'all have a recommendation for resources to use to keep you up to date on new things, like you're talking about stories on Instagram? Is there somebody that has a good blog for that kind of thing that y'all keep up with?
I just find out by, like, all of a sudden, someone even yesterday said, oh, how do you get your links up into the Instagram stories? Apparently, it might have to be a verified Instagram account to do that. So I'm like, oh, okay.
It changes so much.
It changes so
it
much.
really does.
Just have to really
You know,
be
just
a
gotta
student of
stay
it.
on top of it. Google stuff. I mean, read articles, podcasts. There's all sorts of
That's
stuff.
why I always
you
say,
know?
if someone says, I'm an expert on social media, I'm like, no, you're not.
You just
It's
need
always
to hire.
it's a moving
you just
target.
need to hire an intern.
There's no
like
question.
a
It's a moving target. And
whippersnapper.
I'm going to take your question next, but I just want to one thing because I knowing we took the survey earlier of who's getting started and who's an expert. I don't want Bryce's comment to scare people away a little bit about how many times a day you should be posting. All right, just start. Start posting. If you're not doing it, or post a little more often. You don't have to post 10 times a day, and you don't have to post three times a week is great. But I think once you just start, and you'll see it's easy, it's not scary, and once you start, I think you'll feel comfortable with moving forward with it.
And there's certain channels. There's certain channels where you really don't have to update that much. I mean, Pinterest. I mean, if you just have a great catalog on there, you don't necessarily need to update all the time. I mean, if you just have a presence and some great photos and albums, people will find that just by looking up. I mean, people go in there for inspiration, for ideas all the time. Same with LinkedIn. I mean, I think I saw a stat the other day. It was like only 25% of LinkedIn users log in per month, which is really remarkable. I mean, I only post maybe a few times a month on LinkedIn.
Maybe they go there for a specific reason.
But yeah, also, LinkedIn isn't really a marketing tool. I don't really see it as a marketing tool.
I hear Zac Efron has a good page on LinkedIn. Yep.
Oh. Yeah, I think that the Instagram has a live video capability as well. So Instagram videos, Facebook videos, I think they're there to show, setup for an event or big moments at an event. Like anyone that went to the event last night, I don't know if you could have used it for that. Like, look at this guy carrying drinks with tattoos on him, or.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
longer than 60
Yeah.
seconds.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and I think you could also do some, you could set up something where you do, every Wednesday you do a Q&A of sorts, or you talk about what's going on with the business and keep it to 5 minutes or less. But yeah, Facebook Live, doing it longer is great because you're adding more people as the length of the video goes on.
And
Go
it
live
also
as much
shows
as
up
you
in the
can.
little things. So
Yeah,
live.
Exactly.
There's a DJ in my market that does one once a week where he just talks about upcoming shows that he has going on, answers questions from other DJs and things like that.
Facebook's algorithm loves when you go live. Go live as much as you can. Plus, it stays on your feed. It doesn't just disappear when you're done. So, say you're an event venue, take a walk around the venue for 5-10 minutes, show off your stuff. I mean, it's going to send notifications to people who like your page. It's
Right.
great. Whenever you can, go live.
No.
So did you know that there's a secret
You can
way?
save it.
Yeah, for Instagram stories that you can you can do a video, you can take it and then post it later.
And then, I haven't seen the post later.
Yeah.
I've seen the
So
save
let's
it.
reveal
I
the
can save
secret.
the video.
Oh.
Tell us, you can share later with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a really good thing that you could do, but we're not going to tell you how to do it.
No, it is great though, because you can take, let's say last night I did this, so I took a couple videos at the party, but I wanted to be able to look at them and see what they look like.
I know what you're talking about, yes.
And then you can actually go into the Instagram stories and there's a little arrow you kind of swipe down and it'll show you anything you took within the last 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Pictures
Yeah,
or
that's
videos.
great. I love that.
So instead of having to like take the video and post it right then, you can edit your content or pick the best video.
And Instagram stories are pretty new. I mean, this is a perfect example of how things change all the time, all these new little features they add in. Just yesterday I noticed when you reply to tweets now, it doesn't add the handle in the tweet. That doesn't add to your character count, the 140.
Oh, yeah, right.
I mean,
right,
there's just little things like that just change all the
That's good.
time. You just got to stay up on it. And,
Right. It's constantly, and when he said, share your secret sauce, this is what we do. So people on social media, I have found everyone is so, everyone's just excited about it. So we're like, yeah, oh my God, you can do that now. So it's great because if you have a question about something, you could even ask someone who's doing something like you like on social media and go, how did you just do that? I'll get like little tweets go, how did you make your little Catersource promo? And I'm like, I used Canva. So I just tell, people are very nice about sharing if you have a question about social media, about something you see out there that's cool, and how do they do that?
You have a question?
We're relatively new to the whole social media area. Can you speak to the privacy and or proprietary issues that might be out there?
Did you want to go with this?
Do you mean with clients?
Yeah, with posting pictures.
Yep. So we have an event questionnaire that we send out prior to the week of the wedding where we ask them social media information as far as collecting who all of their vendors are, because we then tag those vendors as well. But we ask them if there's a hashtag. We ask if it's okay to post, and we get permission prior to the event.
And then I also say if you are using someone else's photos and regramming, definitely hashtag
shout 'em out,
regram or repost. And also, if you are finding something on the internet, a photo on the internet, which I do a lot, you don't have to do it if you buy something from iStock, but if you get something from someone else's just blog, try to attribute that photo. I mean, this comes from my old journalism training. Always attribute a photo. Always, give back.
Right. I did that coming here to New Orleans this week. I was looking at the Visit New Orleans Instagram and saw a picture credited to a photographer, and actually reached out to that photographer and asked if it was okay to use that on our Instagram just as a preview of us coming here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's nice.
Yes. Yes, you.
So this is kind of content marketing, but so we have half of our office is in our late 30s, the other half of our office is in our early 20s. We have a variety of clients. I would say a good 50% of our clients are social clientele that have dinner parties on a regular basis. The other 50% of followers, etc., rides, that sort of thing. We also have a lot of clients who are business clients. So when it comes to staying on brand, the 20-somethings versus the 30-somethings we're kind of on the fence of what's on brand. And if we're using social media, it's, we're trying to reach all of our different types of clients, but then if we're posting, more, are we turning off at some point? It's just kind of a difficult.
You think if you're posting more, like just maybe, you mean in terms of content, quantity?
Do we have to post more than, to try and reach these different clients? And then also.
Do you feel like your 30-something clients are looking more at your Facebook, and your 20-something clients are looking more at your Instagram, or both?
I don't know.
Okay.
This is part of the problem.
Yeah.
I would say the 20-somethings are probably looking at Instagram, and the older clientele is probably Facebook. If I had to guess without looking.
Right.
Based on likes.
Yeah.
So I guess that's.
But how different you're saying that your events are so different that you think that they are relating differently to a 20-year-old than a 40-year-old?
No, it's not the events are different.
Mhm.
It's just what necessarily like what we want, what we're posting. So like when the younger girls in the office want to post something, and I'm like, I don't know if that's
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Right, yeah.
like they want to post one of those videos that are like.
Oh, yeah,
the boomerang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's if you put it on Insta stories, then it just goes away.
Yeah,
from
and
the graph.
that's-
That's where that goes.
Right.
That's just for fun, and you can do those. Oh, on Facebook,
Yeah, I don't know that I would do
wouldn't
that.
do it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bryce? Because you're.
It's just me trying to, I don't know if I'm being too controlling, but I'm like, I just want to make sure we're staying on brand.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think you should have a social media?
but really brands are so different. I mean, it's you kind of just have to go with your specific experience. I mean, my company, for instance, we're older. We've been around 60 years. We do the millennial weddings. We do corporate events. I mean, a great majority of our clients are 55 and over. You just kind of got to play with it. I mean, obviously the older demographic is going to be on Facebook. I guess you could think of your Facebook posts as more professional. Same with LinkedIn. But that doesn't necessarily mean you want to be stodgy. And I mean,
Bryce,
just
how
gotta
many
play
people?
with it and just go on a case by case basis.
So at executive, how many people are posting at executive?
Just me.
It's just you. And at your company,
Everyone.
Well, I mean, I would love to do it myself, but because I'm so busy
Yeah.
with so many other things, I kind of divvied it up within the office.
right?
And also because I figured that would create more than just my perspective. It would give the younger.
How many people do you have posting, and how many times do you post?
Well, we're creating a plan right now, and there's 5 people in our office. There's 5 salespeople / assistants, and so we've got it worked out that all 5 of us would have a day, and But again, I'm coming up with a complete plan.
Yeah. I feel like that could create more off-brand by doing it where everyone's posting. So we have 5 people as well, and what we do is anyone can do Instagram stories, and I want everyone on my team to sort of snapshot their day. So one may be in a linen meeting, one may be touring a venue, one may be doing a tasting, and I want all of that on Instagram stories. I don't feel strongly against what goes there. But
Because they end after 24 hours. Same with
Right.
Snapchat for everyone who may not be familiar.
But as far as the actual feed of my Instagram, I have, more curated, more on brand. So my associates will send me photos, like perhaps they may say, I went to, or this was a wedding that we did, here's like 5 photos, and then I'm the one that posts it. So I keep it more streamlined and kind of on brand. But I'm still seeing like their perspective, and I still get like their day, but I get
The
to
quality control.
Yeah, because I take the
Yeah.
photo and I have like a certain way, like I know I like it a little bit brighter. I like to warm up the photo. I always use these hashtags, so I keep it on brand.
Instagram, more than any other social network, people scroll through your timeline and see what you've been doing. They don't do that for Twitter or Facebook. Instagram posts, I think, should be taken seriously, and don't make them stodgy, make them fun, but they're like tattoos, I like to think of them as, because they're always going to be there and people always scroll through. When they find your Instagram, it's so easy just to scroll through years. When you go to Facebook, you have to go forever, and nobody's checking out all this stuff way back when. So.
One thing that you can do is, I would say, go back through your Instagram, depending on how long you've had it, and delete things that are not representative of who you are or the client that you want to bring in. Just because you posted it 3 years ago doesn't mean it has to stay. So go to the post. If the first one that you did was horrible, selfie of you in the kitchen, make it go away. Like, that's not who you are. That's not what you want to put out there. Clean it up and make it more tailored.
Yes, because as you're using it more, you'll get your voice, and you'll figure out what your audience is responding to as well, and you'll see what gets better likes and what doesn't, and then you can get rid of the ones. Like I constantly do that with mine. I'm like, well, that wasn't right. It was nice, but it's not right.
My company has a policy. The owners have just put out a form that they don't want any of the employees taking pictures of anything because content for other reasons.
What's wrong with that?
Welfare, catering,
Yeah.
what have you. I mean, they must have their reasons for saying that, but they sent out this notice that they don't want any employees taking any photos. So it's just the owner who takes the photos. But I'm trying to help implement
Social
I guess,
media.
the social media part of it.
Mhm.
So, you're saying that if the employees, how do you go around that?
Yeah. I would recommend to your company that instead of having a policy of not taking any photos, maybe they have people sign something that says you can't use it on your personal accounts if that's what they're concerned about. That they can take photos, but they must be either submitted for people to put on your.
Because I think that's what one of the owners saw, that, they're linked on Facebook with each other and all the employees, and they saw them did this great party,
Yeah.
but maybe didn't credit
Right.
the companies.
Right.
So,
How many people in the company?
well, there's like 4 full-time employees, and then of course we have like the contract employees,
Right.
banquet chefs that we send out that may not work full-time, and took a picture and posted it. And I'm just thinking they didn't maybe give credit
Yeah.
that it is due.
Right.
So that's what they said, well, that wasn't there for because a lot of these
Sure.
banquet chefs work for other companies.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So you don't know whose photo
Mhm.
it was, and I think they just wanted credit for that.
Right.
So they just basically said no more photos.
Interesting.
And I'm just thinking,
Maybe they
now
need to
listening
alter
all
that.
of you guys, maybe that's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Or have them send the pictures, but how do you control that once it's on their phone?
You can't.
Well, you could stop them, if they're posting something they shouldn't have, and I don't know if any of the employees signed like a non-compete or confidentiality.
It's like a double-edged sword because
Yeah.
you're not allowing all these people to take amazing pictures.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
It's one of you.
Mhm.
I would just make sure that they credit it, because I don't get it. Okay, so I work in Los Angeles, and a lot of these events are, they're celebrity events or whatever, and so all of my clients get these, non-disclosure agreements. Like, I can't come and take a picture at the event. I'm like, yeah, but all the guests are taking pictures.
Right.
So I don't understand that, because the guests come and snap away, snap.
And you want the guests to
You're,
take
as long
pictures.
as your company says, give us credit,
Yeah.
give us the credit. That's all. So hashtag your company.
Yeah, that's free marketing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's dampening
Yeah.
your reach
it's-
by
right.
saying that you have to keep it contained, because your employees that are posting those
a
photos,
different
yeah,
group
have
that
friends
they're
that are like,
Just reach
oh,
more
so and so
people that you
works
want to
for,
reach.
yeah.
You had a question over there.
I'd like to back up a little bit, because I'm one of these people that I'm still trying to figure this out. Is there a resource out there that's social media, so to speak, for dummies? Because when you're talking about a blog, I ain't got a clue what you're even talking about. When you're talking about grow your following, how in the world do you do that? Because you can't knock on a door and say, hey, follow me. I just don't understand it.
Right.
There probably is a social media for dummies, isn't there? Yeah.
Sure
So
there
Yeah, there
I
definitely
would
is.
start with that.
I would also recommend, I don't know what your company dynamic is, but could you consider bringing on like a summer intern or, no?
No.
Okay.
You could follow Social Media Examiner. That's a good blog that
Yeah, that's
talks
excellent.
about this.
Podcast too,
Excellent.
but it ended.
Huh?
What is a blog?
So,
What's a blog? Okay.
well, all kidding aside, not a promotion for YouTube or Google or anything else, but those simple questions that are all good questions, and again, everyone in this
We've all
room
been there,
at
yeah.
one time didn't know those answers. If you go to YouTube and how do I get followers on social media, there's probably going to be pages and pages of it. And you could self-educate yourself, and it's not going to take long. You will get, I promise you, if you're not there, you will get the grasp of it very quickly.
Yeah.
And
It's not difficult.
Go.
And you may also want to consider not necessarily outsourcing everything, but maybe connecting with a social media expert that could get you set up for success. Like get you, a consultant that could set you up with accounts on all of the different platforms and sort of educate you, like a kickoff, and then get you started from there.
this gentleman here.
Bryce.
Yeah.
I think you said when you started you were at 150 and now you're at 1,500 So I'm not sure this is the terminology, conversion rate. So have you been able to see how your engagement in social media relates to bottom line, return on investment? We're about to make an investment in our company, and a person like you guys, who's people who understand the medium, the platforms, the tactics, the timeline, and frankly, it's to drive sales, period. So have you been able to see anything in terms of your growth?
That's such a difficult thing to measure. I think when people start off on social media, or maybe they're not as familiar with it, every post they want to have that ROI. They want to have, they want to have every post get a new lead in, bring a wedding in. When you show a wedding, that should automatically lead to one wedding, right? Well, that's not necessarily the way it works. It's such a difficult thing to measure. Maybe 1 month, all of your social media stuff can bring in 10 new leads. Maybe 1 month it doesn't do any good. I mean, it's just, I guess it's just a way of life, really, just to
be where your competition is.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to keep up with the.
Is it about the search ranking then? You set your goal.
Yeah, I mean, really, this brings more people to your website. With the blog, basically, a blog is like articles on your website, okay? And you can link those in your social media. When you're on all these different channels, you're reaching all these different people. They're driving business to your website, to your contact information, to give you a call, give you an email, bring them in your building. I mean, it's all just one big part of marketing. I mean, it's just
marketing.
Yeah,
it is marketing goes today. Yes. We didn't see something because one thing that happened. Now this talks to what you're talking about too. So my client, Images by Lighting, there are 4 lighting designers. Each one of them has their own Instagram account. Each one of them posts their own parties. Then I'm Images by Lighting Big, right? The parent. So all of their stuff, then I link over to them, and then I say follow our lighting designers up in the profile. So one of the lighting designers has now put in his profile for inquiries, email me. And he's gotten inquiries, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. So now on all of the lighting designer guys, I'm like, for inquiries, I can't do it because I can't fit it all into the parent company. You only get a certain amount of, characters in that profile. So for the guys, I can put that on theirs. I can put their email in there, and they're getting inquiries from Instagram.
Yeah,
and people are getting inquiries from Instagram. I do not believe they're getting them from Facebook.
And there's ways you can measure which links are sending people to your website. That's also a way you can tell, hey, my Instagram on this link, X amount of people clicked on it to bring you there monthly. That's a great way to tell how many leads are coming in through which realms.
Yeah, and I don't call it return on investment anymore. I call it return on intention. What's your intention of getting your word out there and getting your name and your brand out there more?
Yes, sir.
A question. We do Instagram, and I'll post pictures, and I get all these things, gain more followers for free.
Delete them.
Don't do it.
Delete them.
Spam. Delete that.
Garbage.
They happen to the best of us.
Delete it. Don't leave it on. Don't leave it there. Get those guys off.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to initiate it, but you want it to happen organically.
Well, you're gaining attention from your posts, so I guess that's a good thing. I mean, if someone's going to spam you, I guess they see a reason to spam you, I guess.
Yeah, the very best way, and Scott talked about this a little bit, but the very best way to grow your followers is to engage with the people that are already following you. So like their post, comment back if they ask you questions, be interactive with those followers, and then get out there and engage.
Build a relationship with them.
Right. So what she's saying, and too, with the Instagram, if you there's somebody out there that you love that you want to have as a client, but they're getting so many likes, and you just hit like, on it. And again, I'm talking Instagram. They're not going to even see that you did anything. So comment on it. Make a comment. Just go beautiful picture, stunning, gorgeous. Right. Because then they'll see you in the comments, and other people will see you in the comments. So don't just like things on Instagram.
You can also tag in Instagram stories. So like if I'm doing a wedding at a venue and I'm doing a site tour the week before, I'll do Instagram stories, and I do at the Umstead, whatever.
Or if you're a venue and you're renting some linens from somebody, great tablescape, thank you, whoever.
Absolutely.
Right. And then that gives love back to your venue because you know you want those venues loving you.
And then they're more likely to tag you.
Right.
Because you've credited.
It's a great way to communicate. You're
Share
creating
for share
community.
partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Third-party apps, so if you guys use them, like the difference, I use Hootsuite, but I have some issues with, I don't know, Diana, the difference between that and maybe, is it Buffer?
Buffer.
Yep.
There's issues with every single one.
Yeah,
of them.
there are.
Yeah, nothing's perfect.
Yeah, I've used Iconosquare a little bit,
Iconosquare.
but I actually don't use it anymore because I found issues with that as well.
There are issues with all of them.
Yeah. I use Buffer. I
Buffer
personally.
for Twitter, Iconosquare for Instagram, which will help you get some influencer and some content.
And there's also Sprout Social, which I don't use personally, but I just looked into it leading up to this that you can check into. It looked like it was pretty comprehensive.
And then there's some schedule things for Instagram, like Planoply or whatever.
There's Planogram.
Planopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some of those, but then it's a pain because then you have to get the notification and then you have to like hit it.
So here's a question I don't know the answer to. So part of the reason I use Buffer is that, Animatic Media is one of 3 brands that we own. We own Animatic Media, meetingleader.com, which is a resource for meeting and event planners for content organization and audience response. And then we have Conference on Demand for online streaming conference video on demand. So when we do our post, Buffer lets me choose which posts are going to go to which social media, or some of them may go to all of them. But question for this industry, I don't know, would a catering company possibly have 2 social media accounts, one that focuses more for social and one that focuses more for corporate? And then if so, those tools are really going to help you because you go to one place and decide where it posts.
Yeah, I mean, my company's a catering company. We're also an event venue. I have 2 Twitters, I have 2 Instagrams, 2 Facebooks. I mean, it's definitely a lot, but yeah, I mean, totally. You have to realize who your market is and what you're wanting to tell.
In the back there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can link your accounts there. So when we post on Instagram, there's a little link.
No. So when you're on your phone, you mean you can hit, yes, I want this to post to Facebook, yes, I want it to, yeah. No, that's why the planning tools, that's why Hootsuite or whatever would be better, because then also you can also see your calendar of how it's going too, and you're like, okay, on Facebook, I'm going to do this picture, Instagram that same day, I'm going to do that picture, then I'm going to switch them the next day. So if you're running your story for the week, switch them up so they're not running on the same thing, because Facebook and Instagram are most likely people are looking at probably both of those because they own each other. So I would switch it up and tell the story a little bit differently on each one. It is a little bit more work, but I think it's worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. One's a follow-up to Sean's question. I'm wondering if you're aware of any protocols, legal or otherwise, about showing photographs at guest events where you haven't gotten release.
Private events? No. Don't do it. Well, again, this is from journalism. You can get in a lot of trouble if it's a private event, like if it's at their dinner party or at their home. If it's a big event, like, you're at Indy 500 and, you're just taking a picture of the crowd, that's okay because it's a public event. So just always think, is this a private event or is this public?
And you can get permission from them.
Get permission,
yeah,
of course.
just.
I realize that. I'm just worried about people taking photographs of events at a venue, let's say, not a private venue, where I would actually use some discretion on your own.
Yeah.
But at a venue, and then showing the crowd.
But you're talking about taking pictures, just as long as there's no people as long as there's no people in the picture, just don't let people, just take pictures of the buffet or the decor or the flowers or the table, because you can get in trouble if Mr. Smith is there with Mrs. Smith, and you're posting it. So there's trouble. Yeah.
What if the fine is
Well, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I think,
I haven't had.
It's always a good idea to ask permission.
I would just ask the client, yes, if it's okay.
And take it from a jaded New Yorker, get it in writing.
Yeah. So
Go on.
It's 10:30.
Oh, do they need another?
We still have a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
It goes till 10:30.
Yeah.
And I'll,
Thank you.
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to make a statement. In our community, I attend a lot of galas, as many of us do. A couple of the large organizations like the Cancer Society and the Heart Association, they now, when you walk, when they're holding an event, they have a sign as
Yeah.
the company.
Oh.
It's right outside. Yeah,
Smart.
they have them here
Just
too.
like UVM had here. Right. Right.
If you do not want to be photographed, just please be aware.
Right.
And then that is the legality issue of it all. Is that really correct?
That's a
Is
good
that
point.
that leaves the organization that's having the event.
First floor, go see it. There's one here too.
Because UVM
First
saying
floor.
yes, that they're,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, take it from a big company.
Third-party sites besides Offer and
There's Sprout Social.
So,
Sprout Social and Iconosquare were the two that I mentioned.
And you got Hootsuite, right, from before?
They're all about the same, or they have
Different features.
Different
I
Yeah.
don't think that
Try 'em out,
Hootsuite,
see what you
can't
like
do
best.
Instagram, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So, and those features within those third-party software, they're all competing with each other like anything else. So they're always changing, updating, new revisions. So,
Something you liked a year ago may not be what you like now.
Yeah.
but if you do join some social media sites to stay informed, you'll see updates and what people are saying about it, and you'll be able to educate yourself on those things as well.
And again, Google and look back on articles at Social Media Examiner, because he really they go into everything in detail. Your mind will be.
So we're about out of time. So what I'd like to do is just go down the line here and just say, you saw we have a mix of knowledge in the audience, and I'll start ladies first. What takeaway, what one or two takeaways would you tell our audience here?
Well, I would tell them to look at your overall content to make sure that you are creating a story that is based on the events that you're doing, and to also doesn't have to always be that way. That doesn't sound right, but that you also you also curate your photos. No bad photos.
I would say if you don't currently have accounts on any of these, try to have the same name on all of them. So like we're a Southern Soiree on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. So make it consistent if you can for your company name. Figure out who your client is and be where they are. And if you are confused and you're like, gosh, what should I be posting? Find the best and follow them and see what they're doing. Get inspiration. When are they posting? What hashtags are they using? Switch it up and get your inspiration from them. And be your brand. So be authentic. Don't just post. Show the fun side on your behind the scenes Facebook Live, Instagram stories, but then have more of like your tailored version on the other platforms.
Bryce.
And my message would be, when you're posting, to humanize your message. Ditch the sales pitch. Like I said before, people have a great filter for BS. A great example I have was, we have our own floral department. So post I did about a month ago was, it was a great floral arrangement with a big vase, and the vase had like slices of fruit in it, oranges, limes, lemons, and all this. And I think to a newbie, they could say, hey, look at this. We do great colorful arrangements. My message was trying to be useful to the client, so it was saying, a vase can make just as big as an impression as the bouquet. Don't overlook the vase to create a great centerpiece, something like that. Make your post useful or entertaining or helpful to your client. That's going to make them want to keep on coming back.
Great. Well, I want to thank our panel, Liese, Megan, and Bryce, for coming. I know I'll be sticking around for just a few minutes if you have any more questions, and thanks for coming. Enjoy the rest of the conference.